They said you had started your campaign like 2 years ahead of time as against those who recently launched their campaign. You visited them in their various regions and constituencies, and they also identified with your message. So did you sort of expect that it was going to be like a landslide victory for you?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Ah.
In fact, first of all, let me say good morning to the newest and freshest chairman in town, Chairman Stephen Tim. Yesterday was his birthday,
yes.
So we pray for long life for him. The General Secretary, lawyer Justin Kodia Frimpong, National Organizer, Nanabi, Women Organizer, Kitchen Fua, Aziz Futa, National Coordinator, Dr. China, National Treasurer, fellow colleagues, national executives. Let me say good morning also to the President and the Vice President, the Chief of Staff, all government appointees, and indeed my delegates who came to do me the honors for voting for me, youth organizers and deputies, young MPs under 40, young MMDCs under 40, diaspora youth organizers. Unfortunately, so sad, Tescom couldn't vote.
We'll get to that conversation.
Special felicitations to them as well. So, indeed, I walked into the stadium with confidence that I would leave there as National Youth Organizer of the party, because we had worked. And when I was doing my campaign, most of the delegates could look at me in the face and tell me that we'll vote for you because you have integrity, and we are voting for you because we trust that you would deliver on the mandate. So I was quite convinced that indeed I was going to win. I mean, there is the mantra of fear delegates.
Yes.
You know,
did you have a bit of that?
Unfortunately, no. Yes, I had trust in the constituents I was dealing with. You know, I have been a youth organizer. I have been a youth activist of the party, so I understand the youth politics. So when you are dealing with them and they speak the language you understand, so I could connect with them, and I knew what they were saying were true of their character and that they would deliver. So I had no doubt in my mind that we're going to win. I'm only humbled that they indeed honored their word and did not let me down. Same way I also have no intentions of letting them down. You don't intend to let them down? No, I don't.
We'll get to what your plans are for these young people, but even at the stadium, there were accusations of money exchanging hands, you know, with some delegates and some contenders as well. Is there in any way...
Every conference,
well,
we have heard that.
Did you give anybody money to vote for you? Because I know you're saying that you were very optimistic. Of course, they said they voted for you based on integrity. Yes. But did you actually have to give anything in exchange?
You see, every conference that I've been to, I've been going to conferences for a very long time. And every conference, you hear that money exchange hands. But you never see the money. Did you see anybody?
No, but if it's coming from a top contender, because Mr. Stephen Asamoah Boateng was the one who spoke to the media that morning, and he said that he had heard that some delegates were being camped, you know, at their various, you know, hotels. And that was why the event had delayed, because it delayed by some 4 to 5 hours. So we had it from a top contender.
I share that to disagree. Elections are won on strategies. So if I have resources that I can, you know, get a place for people to come and sleep, that's fine. But I can tell you that you can camp people and they'll come and vote against you. So it is not the camping that, you know, wins the election.
It's not just camping, but of course, you know, something small for...
And also, it is not the money. And I have said time without number that we have seen incumbent, you know, government lose elections, which are thought to be more resourceful than opposition. So sometimes winning elections is not really about money. Resources are key, but you don't have to understand that other complementary, you know, issues are also involved, and they are also equally as important as whatever, you know, resources that you are going to deploy. So I don't think it's all about money. But you did pump in some resources, of course, for your campaign. Yes, you would have to travel, you know, hotel, food, fuel, you know, it's a whole lot, you know. And if you're not prepared, it can be very daunting. But if you're prepared to do it, why not? At the end of the day, for me, I have my position, my principle that it is not a cost for me, it is the value.
Okay.
Today, by the grace of God, I have won. And the young people in the party have trusted me that I would be able to build a youth wing that is strong enough to beat the NDC. Okay. And that's what I have to do. So at the end of the day, it's not how much you have spent and all that, but the value that you have to give, you know, confidence to the teaming young people, give them hope to believe in the political, you know, cause. If I have been able to become national youth organizer, so many other people can be. There are more intelligent people than me in the NPP, you know, who probably now would get inspired that I can also rise to any position that I want. But
how long did you harbor this interest in becoming the national youth organizer? Because you worked under Samia Uku when he was the national youth organizer. At that point, did you, for any reason, have plans that eventually you would ascend the throne as the king himself?
I think I thought about it. During our period, when we got the 2016 election done, and there were discussions as to how to reorganize, I had then thought of doing my master's, and I had fancied the thought of doing a PhD. So I was contemplating how to manage the two things together, running the campaign and also trying to, you know, write a lot of theses and proposals and all that. So I was contemplating, and we have an age limit threshold that you need, you know, to be within to qualify to run for the national youth organizer.
Oh, there's an age limit.
Yes, you cannot be more than 40. So I knew that even till now I will not get to 40. So I knew that even if I didn't run in 2018, I was still qualified to run.
How old are you at the moment, if I may ask?
I'm still under 40.
You're still under 40, but you tell us exactly how old you are.
I'm still under 40.
Okay.
I'm 38.
I see, 38.
Yes.
So you should have enough time, and that means that you will not be able to run again for the same office in the next 4 years, because by then you'll be beyond the age of 40.
I'll build a youth wing and bequeath it to another person to come and continue.
I see. Very interesting.
If I would qualify, I'm not sure that I would want to run twice for the position of...
But what was it like working under Samia Uku? I mean, because I realized that you even called on him before the election so he can give you his blessing. And a number of the young people said that just for the fact that you even belong to Samia Uku's camp, that's enough for them to want to vote for you, because they are assured. You didn't hear that?
Then you picked up a lot.
So they are sure that because of that, you do a good job in, you know, mobilizing the young people. And so how influential was he in your quest?
Clearly, he's a very influential, you know, he's a youth icon in the party, and I think in the country in general. The youth wing that we built was a solid one, and it is credited for the famous victory we had in 2016, beating the NDC with close to 1 million votes. And we worked hard, and the entire party saw that we did. The kind of mobilization that ensued was one that the party, you know, acknowledged that indeed the youth wing worked. And Samia Uku has written his name in gold as far as the history of the party is concerned. And that has put him in that iconic status as far as youth organizers in the NPP are concerned. Though over the period we have had very fantastic youth organizers as well. Dr. Mustapha Hamid being the first elected national youth organizer, followed by the former General Secretary, who was also a national youth organizer, John Boedu. Then came to Antonia Abaifa Kabo, another fantastic guy.
Very energetic.
Yes, very, very. Then it came to Samia Uku. You know, so then from Samia Uku to Nana B, then Nana B to me. So the youth has always had, you know, that upward, you know, ascendancy. And it's great that the party has that adoration for Samia in particular, which I was part. And I feel happy that anytime Samia is referenced, it is the work that that particular administration achieved, which I was an integral part of. And I'm sure that we will be able to replicate same or even do something higher than we did. They are all available, and I will be consulting them over a period of time to see how we build a much more stronger youth wing than we have even had over the period. Because to break the 8 is going to take a lot of effort.
It will.
A lot. And the youth wing is about the fulcrum on which it is going to spin. So if so, the youth wing must be strong. And myself, together with all of them, would find ways to ensure that we really build that solid youth wing.
How do you intend to build a solid youth wing when, in actual fact, right before the elections, the elite future of the party, which is TESCON, was disenfranchised? And we heard from the chairman of the election committee, Mr. Peter McMahon, announced that because of an injunction that was received the night before, TESCON would not be able to vote. And they were visibly upset about it because they were wondering why they would have to travel from all these regions, get here, and now be told that they cannot vote. What really happened?
Yeah, personally, I was upset.
You were?
I was upset, very, very upset, and sad as well, because I was going to get a lot of votes from TESCON. Yeah, it's a place I feel very comfortable in, and I've done so much work in TESCON, so I was upset as well, and I was sad. As such, true, I kept getting a lot of calls from a lot of them, some even, shedding tears. And wow. It broke my heart to see that happen. I also asked when I got to the venue the issues of TESCON, and I was told that an injunction was filed, to restrain TESCON from voting.
Who filed it?
I am not too sure of the name of the person.
You're not sure? You are the National Youth Organizer. TESCON is asking. They want details.
It's one Danny. I don't want to put certain details out.
Okay.
Because we are trying to solve the issues therein.
But why did he file that injunction?
They had challenges. I think some candidates had challenges with the composition of the album, and thought that the way to go was to challenge the whole thing, even though I disagree with the wholesale approach. If one or two regions had issues, I think we should have concentrated on one or two of the regions than going full-blown injunction to stop TESCON from voting entirely. It has never happened before. In Koforidua in 2018, when we went, there were challenges to a few of the delegates who were TESCON at the time. We called the candidates. We agreed on something. We reached a compromise, and some people were taken out. So something could have happened than going all out to place an injunction on the entire TESCON fraternity.
There were allegations.
I think it was done in real bad faith.
It was? You didn't know about it at all? You didn't know till you got to the stadium that there had been an injunction placed?
I had heard. I think by Friday evening, it started simmering. So we started placing calls. But we had not received the injunction, but the Electoral Commission did.
Okay.
So when we got to the stadium, that was when we realized that, indeed, the injunction had been served on the Electoral Commission, but not us. That's what caused the dislocation with the TESCON, because every arrangement was done for TESCON already. The transportation was made for them, accommodation was made for them, so they were here already. They were already
upset about even transportation and accommodation, because if you look at their statements, they were even saying that even for accommodation, they were housed at Anankazo in Eastern Region, and the Accra TESCON presidents did not even have a place to sleep, so they had to sleep in their cars. So that was already a red flag for them, even before the announcements that they would not be able to vote.
Yeah, so a lot of these issues, we will interrogate it. I'm sure the only reason why they might have omitted Greater Accra from accommodation at Anankazo would have been the fact that they would have been taught to be residents of Greater Accra. So therefore, residence not provided for them at Anankazo. It will not be right anyway. So a lot has happened. We have learned some lessons from it, and we will sit down and deal with the issues. I have received a petition from TESCON, and all of these things that they have put out. They have written to me as well. I sympathize with them, and I feel for them, because I've gone through TESCON before. I was a TESCON member, and to see that foundation being pulled to the ground is something that I cannot come into terms with. And I would work with them, and I can assure them that I stand with them and that we would resolve this matter. And it should never happen again. Should never happen again.
There were allegations that, in fact, the problem with the album was the fact that there were some party members and leaders who had put their family members' names in the album in place of the TESCON people that were supposed to vote, and that was why they had to place an injunction on them. Is that true?
I cannot confirm that. There were allegations, and that's what, you see, when you are in the election drive, you hear a lot of rumors.
What were some of the allegations that you heard?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that some people have been taken out, some of the names have been changed, and only to get the album, and what the region sent was the same thing that the register that has been compiled, contained. So
there was really no problem?
Yeah, in essence, but some candidates had issues with some specific people, and some specific regions, and that's why I'm saying that probably we should have dealt with each region on regional basis than the wholesale approach, which has proved to be counterproductive, because now you have broken the confidence of young people, young minds, who, were in the spirit, and rather we should groom and not be discouraging. And if we go that route, we will be having this kind of problems that we are having. I'm sure all those who orchestrated it would not feel happy at this stage that they have caused such a huge problem for the party and for us all to handle. And I just want to appeal and continue to appeal to all my TESCON presidents that they should calm down, understand their pain. Sometimes disappointments come, but let's handle it well.
How do you intend for them to handle it? They are telling you that we're not going to do any business at all on campus, and these are the 291 TESCON presidents. They're saying that we are suspending all activities on campus at the moment because we feel as if the leadership of the party do not have an interest in TESCON, and they do not recognize us as the intellectual wing as it has always been professed by the party. So until it is resolved, before the next election should take place,
we will resolve it.
They are not going to do any business.
We will resolve it. And if you ask my TESCON executives, my TESCON people, they will tell you, I've had a lot of time for TESCON. I've done a lot of engagements with TESCON. And it cannot be right that this particular national executive setup would be oblivious of the impact of TESCON. We are not. If you take the current national executives, the general secretary, the national organizer who just left as national youth organizer, myself, I know that the national women's organizer has a lot of time and attention on TESCON and the WUCOMs in particular, and NASARA coordinator too, with the NASARA coordinator. So clearly, they are not left behind. A problem occurred. We acknowledge it. We are sorry for it. Deeply, deeply sorry. It's regrettable. And I want to plead with them, that they should rescind their decision. Have you gotten in touch with them personally since this happened? Yes, I'm having a meeting with them. And I would continue to appeal to them and their emotions that let's calm down and let's resolve it. You see, it's a human institution. Sometimes we get it wrong, but it's not deliberate. Are you sure it's not deliberate? You hold on. Let's hear from one of the TESCON presidents who spoke on this matter, and this is what he had to say.
We came here today just to be told that an injunction has been placed on the TESCON list. That's a national TESCON list, which we think is very bad. And we think it might be deliberate. How can our brothers come from Upper East, Upper West, far from the northern region, come to Greater Accra, and just to be told that they've placed an injunction on the telephone? I think this is not fair. This is an internal party thing. If possible, they should allow we TESCON to cast our votes. Otherwise, we will leave the institution, TESCON in the various institutions, for the leaders to come and govern TESCON in our various institutions. Because we can nurture this group in our various institutions, and when it's time for us to come and cast our vote, you disenfranchise us. I think it's bad, and I think our leaders must rectify this before we leave here. Honorable Peter McMahon, he just said an injunction has been placed on a TESCON list without any explanation, which we think that we need to know what summed up to placing an injunction on our list. No, it was not. We are not informed, but we are told that I think that it's one way or the other to differentiate us, and I think that this thing must be rectified.
And so that is a TESCON president. He says that he thinks that it was deliberate. And in fact, I've heard from some quarters that this was actually, or this could have been deliberate, because the youth wing were in support of some particular people. And in fact, there was a faction that wanted their people to win. And if the youth had voted, they would have voted against that person. And so that is why they decided to disenfranchise them.
Again, I feel for them and I share in their pain. Clearly, it will be painful to journey all the way from the Upper East, Upper West, Northern region, Western North, Oti, all the way to Accra, to Anankazo, only to get to a sports stadium and you are disenfranchised. Clearly, you'll be pained. And I understand them. I feel for them. If I were in their shoes, I would react same. That is why I am not, against their venting of frustration. I think it's okay, but we are pleading with them, and I want to assure them that it will be dealt with. You see, there's something about elections. Bella, secret ballot. You can never tell how somebody would vote. There's no art in finding a mind's construction on the face. So those who harbored fears about TESCON that they might vote against them probably, didn't understand, a lot of the politics of TESCON. Otherwise, if you went in to engage them, you would see that most of them had a mind of their own. Look, somebody who goes into the booth to vote alone, you can never tell how the person is going to vote.
But there are even concerns about the general secretary position as one of the main reasons why this even happened. And the fact that there were some people who felt that if they allowed TESCON to vote, then they would lose the position. And so that is probably one of the reasons why that injunction was placed on them. In
either ways, I mean, I have one belief that it is God who gives, these positions. It's God who crowns kings. And if God says it is yours, trust me, there's no any machination anywhere that can get you. So I went into the election with that mindset. Okay. And I had done my work well to ensure that I had reached out to them, we had spoken. Almost every TESCON program I went. If I didn't go in person, I sent a rep. If I didn't send a rep, I made sure that I sent some contribution of a sort in putting the program together. They understand and appreciate effort. And if we're all to do so, they would appreciate everybody. And I think that TESCON, these are intellectual, these are school, these are academics, all right? They understand, they can analyze. So no matter how much you try to induce them, if they feel that it cannot help them, they will not vote for you, even if you were the person who compiled. And what we did regional elections with them. Some of them voted against the people who, even occasioned their being there. And that's what happens. They vote. It's a secret vote. It's a secret ballot. And they decide who to vote for. So go out there and engage them. And I thought that if we had all done so, there wouldn't have been any qualms about it. And they would have, this election was free and fair.
It was?
Yes. Anybody who took part in it will tell you it was free and fair. At the end of the day, it was about how much you were able to campaign. I went around the country twice in 6 weeks.
2 times in 6 weeks?
Yes.
Every corner was visited?
Every corner, all the 16 regions. Yes, so you cannot expect to get the same results as me. You understand?
If you didn't comb the entire...
If you didn't comb through the country like I have done. And going forward in the future, candidates should know that, you don't, reap where you haven't sown.
But you have a very difficult task ahead of you.
Yes.
Because it's not just...
I have been left with a very difficult job to do.
It's not just angry youth of the NPP. In fact, if you look across and you monitor social media, you monitor concerns of young people, they're clearly not happy with the NPP, especially with job creation. Okay? So unemployment, youth unemployment at this point, we're told is about 19%.
Yes.
And that's pretty high.
Yes, very high.
How are you going to ensure that these same young people who have no jobs, have been promised different jobs, we're still waiting for it to start, we haven't seen what's going on with that. All these young people, how do you expect that they would, at this point, even want to vote for the NPP come 2024 for you to break the 8? Because there's also NAPCO on one side, who have not been paid for months, and they are also agitating. How do you intend to galvanize the entire youth, circle in the country to ensure that they vote for the NPP?
Bella, I have one belief that the NPP remains the party of hope for the Ghanaian youth. And we have shown that.
How so?
And we have, not just by words, but by deeds.
How have you shown this by deeds?
Look, before we came into office in 2017, there was a backlog of teacher, trainees who had completed their course and were home, same as nurses, who were sitting home, and other allied bodies. We came and cleared the backlog. Teachers alone, this government has recruited over 100,000 teachers, over 100,000. Same as in the health sector. All of these young people were home. We tried to do a NAPCO. It has its own problems, but a much more better effort than to have left the young people unattended to. And now if we are able to get a permanent funding source for NAPCO, there will be continuous running stream of resource.
For NAPCO. So is that what the problem is? You don't have a permanent funding source? Is that why they have not been paid?
Well, I mean, there must, like we did with the YE when we brought in the CST to become a permanent funding source for YE. Same has to be done for NAPCO so that every month, all the time, they don't really have to depend on the consolidated fund and for their survival, but that they have their own resource stream that funds it. And we are trying to do the U-Start, which will be launched sometime ending of this month, and so on and so forth. Job issues, very critical. I've gone around this country meeting, young people, and it is the biggest issue on the table. Unemployment. There's no doubt about it, and we are not going to run away from it. And I am passionate about it. As a young person myself, I find it distraught that I go around and I see colleagues, in that squalor and deprivation. It breaks my heart. And some of my own youth organizers also, complain same. So clearly, the issue of unemployment is one topical one that needs a special address. But the thing also about the unemployment issue is that this country, I think we need to do a proper segmentation of unemployment, skilled, unskilled, and see how we tackle both. Also, I have said time without number, the way our society has been structured adds to the frustration of unemployment because everybody wants that white-collar, straight-jacket government employment. So everybody finishing school is looking for a government agency, one or the other, to employ them to work. Just like our fathers and mothers did in the years past, you know, around the independence period, even pre-independence. They were even paid for just going to school. And by the time you finish school, your desk was already waiting for you. But that was a population of around 3-6 million people. Today, we are over 30 million. Yeah. So same circumstances cannot, you know, prevail. If you look at the Western system, they do the clock in and the clock out. You know, there's a 24-hour shift, you know, system, which is largely led by private sector. But here, everybody wants to be in the government sector, which is not big enough to absorb all the numbers. So a lot has to go into this unemployment
You have just
issue.
about two years to go before 2024 election. Do you think that you can address this problem before then?
All of us as a people must take this unemployment issue up. If we have to retrain minds, retune them to want to go into private sector. And that's why I like entrepreneurship. And it's one of the things I want to push, that let's encourage entrepreneurship. Young people should have the confidence and courage to go into startups. And that's why I like the Youth Start. We did the presidential pitch one with the then Ministry for Business Development. Some of them, I have followed them, and they are still doing well. You know, some of these young entrepreneurs who came for the presidential pitch, some of them are doing very, very well. We need to encourage it.
Okay.
But that is all in the private sector. That's what I'm saying, that we need to start, you know, retuning minds into some of these
So
things.
you're sure that by 2024 you can get the youth to vote for the NPP to break the 8? You're very sure
I'm
of
very
that?
confident that I'll be able to
What's
do
your
that
confidence
with
level, percentage-wise?
It's not about percentage-wise. You know, when we were talking, I told you I'll win my election. Yes, and I knew that I was going to work hard to win.
Okay.
It's the same thing that I'm going to do.
I see.
I'm going to work so hard to ensure that this unemployment issue, in particular, we really deal with it. Because it's about the biggest canker that we have in the system right now.
I see. Well, I wish you the best as you've started your work officially. You've been sworn in.
Yeah,
the work has begun.
We have been sworn in.
I wish you luck.
Yes. And,
I wish you luck.
The leader too. You remain a partner. And that, yes, support me and my youth wing. Let's get the work done. And I'm sure that with your support, I'll be the NDC again, and they'll remain in opposition for the third time.
You're sure?
I'm sure about that.
Okay, I see. Time's up, we have to go. But how do you manage this new position with your job at the Office of the Vice President?
Oh, clearly, I'm sure that
the
party work will take precedence.
Are you on the side of Dr. Bawumia? Do you think that he should become the flag bearer?
Well, I'm just one person, and the people who would be voting for the flag bearer are 200,000. So I would just have a vote.
And that vote is for Dr. Bawumia?
200,000 people that
is that for Dr. Bawumia?
We'll get there. We'll see.
Should he become the flag bearer?
Well, he qualifies.
He qualifies?
Yes.
You think he's the best candidate?
He qualifies. He's one of the best we have.
Okay, I hear you. Anyway, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. And well, this is Salam Mustapha. He is currently the newly elected National Youth Organizer of the NPP and also works as a Director of Programs at the Office of the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which is why I was asking him if he thinks that his boss should become the next flag bearer of the NPP. But he says he's going to galvanize the youth and ensure that they keep the NDC in opposition for the third consecutive time. How easy or difficult is it going to be? Well, let's see how they even resolve the issue with Tescon. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.